Hey, it's Randy Miles, and I am on the phone with Dexter A. Powell Jr., who has a brand new book, and it's called Young King, Take Your Stand. And Mr. Powell, come on, sir. This is amazing. This book is quite a journey.
Yes, absolutely. That's the understatement. My whole life has been a journey, from starting early on. And it's been a culmination to get Young King here in the world, and now it's here.
Yeah. So just to go back a little bit, you had quite the troubled upbringing for yourself. You were in the juvenile system?
Yeah, I actually went into the juvenile system at 12 years old. Before I actually went into the system, I grew up in a military household, so we moved around very often. And with that, I was a overweight kid, and food was my gateway drug. Starting at 7 years old, I really found myself not only overindulging in food, but I became a food addict, hiding and stealing food at an early age. And by the time I was 12 years old, I was bigger than all of my classmates. I was already being bullied and picked on each and every day. And I found myself eating more and doing more things to get in trouble. And at 12 years old, I ended up rebelling against my mother and her boyfriend at the time. And I made one decision to get myself in trouble, to purposely go to jail, because I thought that the grass would be greener in jail rather than in home. And it really derailed 20 years of my life just going into the system.
Wow. Just reading your bio, you are at one point over 500 pounds?
Yes. Like I said, food was my gateway. And all throughout my teenage years, I constantly, even when I came out of the actual juvenile detention and out of the boys' home that I was in for 18 months, I loved food. And I can continuously ate more food, and as people picked on me, I found myself eating more. And by the time that I was in high school, I was well over 400 pounds.
Wow.
And by the time that I was at my high weight, which was at 21 years old, I was 504 pounds at that time.
Wow. It goes without saying that those things, any addiction of any kind, sometimes we use that as medication.
Absolutely.
And use it to combat depression. So you found yourself that way?
We do it. All the time. I mean, and it's how we cope. And so many times, especially in the African American community, food is what we do. And so if we're celebrating, there's food. If we're if there's a sad occasion, there's food.
Right.
And so there's always food around. And so there's a big emphasis on the food. And so if that becomes the way that you cope and make yourself feel good, and it's always around, then you could find yourself getting lost in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So your turnaround was nothing short than a miracle. And as you've been going through this journey, you wrote this book, Young King, Take Your Stand. Tell me about that process.
The crazy part about it is my story itself is really so big. I've been in Michigan now for the last 16 years of my life, and I had gastric bypass surgery in May of 2005. And at that point in my life, I had to make a decision because I was so hopeless. I could not stand. I was living in Las Vegas. I could not stand to go outside, the way people looked at me, the way that they judged me.
Yeah.
I hated myself. I hated living. And so I had this surgery, and I had a whole different mindset at the time. My mind was I was going to have gastric bypass surgery. I was going to lose weight, and I was going to become like a gigolo in Las Vegas, and I was going to turn up, and I had like this whole different plan, but God had a whole nother plan for my life.
Wow.
And I didn't understand that I was going to end up meeting my wife, Brianna, on a gastric bypass support group online.
Wow.
And so we end up meeting in June of 2005. I moved here to Michigan in August of 2005, and we were married in November. So we met and married within 5 months. 9 months after we got married, we're still in the process of learning each other. I'm now diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
So within a year, so now I go from having this high weight, having this gastric bypass surgery, now losing a whole bunch of weight, coming to Michigan, getting married, and now being diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And it was the prayers of my wife at that time that I'll never forget her grabbing my hand and telling me that that we were going to get through this together, and that she was not going to be a widow, and that God was going to heal me. I didn't have that type of faith. I thought that it was a death sentence because I was about to have to endure the chemotherapy and go through the process. But there was something that she put into me as a praying wife that was so new into this whole journey of marriage, to say that I got you. Don't worry. We're going to get through this. And that journey that we had to walk through the chemotherapy, it was tough, but God healed me of cancer.
Amen.
And so not only did he heal me of cancer, but right after he healed me of cancer, I went through season after season of addiction through pills. And in 2017, I found myself, I lost everything, Randy. In 2017, I was in the streets of Detroit smoking crack.
Wow, Jesus!
I lost everything in 2017. I was here in the city, involved in church, singing worship, right? And as long as I showed up, nobody questioned my brokenness.
Oh my gosh!
But the moment that I left the church, I ran straight to the crack dealer's door, who became my God. That's where I was in 2017. I hit rock bottom in 2017. I lost everything. I ended up trying to commit suicide, and I spent 3 weeks in the mental hospital here in Michigan.
Yeah.
It was in that time that God began to speak to me and rebuild me back up, and to tell me that there was purpose for everything that I had gone through, for every pit that I had lived in, that he was bringing me and propelling me into a greater level of purpose now to be able to go back into those places. And so the way that Young King manifested was last February. I went on a fast, and it was no food, just water and herbal tea. And the fast ended up lasting for 29 days. But during the second week of the fast, the Lord said that I want you to write this book, Young King, Take Your Stand. And he says that it's going to be a mandatory read in African-American homes across the country. Then he says that you're going to give away 1 million copies. I told my wife, she thought that was crazy, but it was a faith move. And so everything that I've done since that fast has been on faith. And so now this book is not just a book, it's a resource guide. It's less than 100 pages. It speaks directly to not only our youth, but it crosses age, it crosses race, it crosses gender, because it's about the message, which is make your next decision your best decision. You know, ultimately it could become your last decision. I made one decision at 12 years old that messed me up, and it took a lot of my life away. But now I have purpose, and I have to give. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm giving this away. I'm giving this away for a reason, because I have to change hearts and minds.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You are here for a reason. And I really thank you so much for taking the time out with me. Here's the deal. Dexter has 10,000 free copies of this book.
Yeah.
To give around for free here in Michigan. And I know that you are trying to reach out to especially churches and nonprofits. You need to get into the juvenile offenders system. How do they get a hold of these books, Dexter?
Okay, so right now, you could go to my website at youngkingbook.com. And so if you're going directly to my website to get the book, you're going to have to pay the shipping price, which is $3.13 to get the book sent directly to you, or check back on the site. I'm going to have some locations in different parts of the city, in different regions around the state, actually, where we're going to be setting up over the next 3 weeks to be able to have mass giveaways, just to be able to get the books into the hands where they need to go, which is into the youth. And so I have an audio book as well that will be out on Audible here in 2 weeks. And so, yeah, it's amazing.
That's amazing. So your website is?
youngkingbook.com.
youngkingbook.com. And is there a number they can reach as well?
The telephone number is 419-972-2701.
Well, I truly appreciate you, Dexter A. Powell Jr. The name of the song is The name of the book is Young King, Take Your Stand. And I might have been prophetic saying it's going to be a song as well.
Yeah, you are. You are. Very.
But make sure that you get your copy, get a hold of a copy or more than one copy so that you can help Dexter with this mission. What a mission it is. Go to youngkingbook.com. Dexter, thank you so much.
Brandy, thank you for your time. I appreciate you.